Hello, everybody. I am Joy Walters. I'm running for State Representative District 4. I am a proud native of Shreveport, Louisiana, and wherever I go, I make sure to let everybody know that I am very, very proud to be from Shreveport. And I have been in the legislature since I was 16 years old. Every summer that I had, I would take the opportunity just to become more and more abreast about the issues, and I am grateful for that being my first job opportunity ever in life. I am running for State Representative District 4 because I do actually have the legislative experience that is necessary. And so although I was not an elected official at 16, I actually worked as an aide in the Senate, which is quite an honor. To be able to work as an aide in the Senate and to gain the policy experience needed to be able to say, you know what, one day I want to effectively serve my community and to lead the community in that way. And I offer research experience as well. I don't believe that anything should be rushed through. And I know how to make quick decisions, but also effective decisions as well. It is very unfortunate that we lost 11,000 people in Northwest Louisiana during the last census cycle. It's very, very unfortunate. I do know that we have to invest in businesses and not just talking about, oh, we're going to invest in businesses, but being very adamant about investing in small businesses, as well as making sure that corporations have what they need in order to come to Louisiana. It is very important that we complete the I49A Connector. I actually, I attended church, Mount Canyon Baptist Church, and we are kind of like in that pathway. And before my late pastor died, he made sure that the current legislators had the resources that they needed as far as making sure that, you know, our church would not necessarily be impacted and or affected. And if so, he had already laid out the negotiations. And so as a legislator, I plan on working with the legislators from our area to ensure that we have more than a one-time payment. Nothing can be done significantly with just a one-time payment. And I mean, even if that looks like us meeting with our federal level senators, if it's something that we must do, which it sounds like it, then we must do it, because we hit potholes every day. I'm a person who pays personal income taxes because I'm self-employed, and so I know how important it is, not only to myself but other business owners as well, that we have that reduction. And I know how important it is to corporations who want to come to Louisiana to have either a reduction in taxes and or the elimination of those taxes. And so I want to be clear that the legislator actually passed the elimination tax for the corporations and for personal income taxes. However, the governor unfortunately vetoed it because of where we would be headed statewide as far as our taxes are concerned. And so again, I am concerned, not just because this is something that personally affects me, but I know that in order to make sure that we bring people back to this state, we have to consider the elimination of those taxes. So I am a product of Montessori because my parents could afford it. But the average person in Louisiana makes $27,000, and childcare is $7,000 per child, 0 to 4. And so that is typically hard to be able to afford early childhood education. But we know that between 0 and 4 is when the brain is growing, it's learning, and we must make sure that our children are not underserved, because if not, it contributes to the truancy rate and so many other things, right? So we have to go ahead and make sure not just that we fund the early childhood education initiatives across the state, but that we actually help the early childhood education centers to prepare a credible curriculum in order to make sure that once those dollars hit their centers, that the children really are learning. I actually spent time helping to educate students right here in this parish, and I will say that I am very well aware of the truancy rate. And what I will say is that we have a lot of children who are responsible for siblings. They are caretakers even at 12 years old, and so it's hard for our children who are unfortunately dealt those specific cards in life to actually show up for class and ready to come to the class and learn. And also parents should definitely be held responsible for what they contribute to the truancy rate here in Louisiana. And so in order to properly fix those things, we have to start addressing things even on what may seem to be a smaller scale, because it is difficult to legislate somebody's morals or their background, unfortunately. And so again, I just believe that we definitely need to make sure that those parents even have what they need so that they can send their children to school. Yes, I'm not sure how many meetings currently the legislators have together, like from our delegation, but I do think that it is imperative that we come together as the Northwest Louisiana legislators in order to to know each other's projects before we get to the legislator, to know what bills we're planning on pre-filing before we get to the legislator, because that is what makes the Northwest Louisiana corridor even more powerful, when we know how to assist one another once we get there. Because once you get to the legislator, it's game time. And so we have to have a meeting, whether it be several meetings or just one or two before then, so that we can be properly prepared to support each other's initiatives. And I am very well aware that Northwest Louisiana, a lot of times we are left out as far as when it comes to the bidding process. We're not oftentimes selected, even when qualified. And so we do need to make sure that those things are addressed. And we also have to make sure that as the delegation, that we stick together in order to bring home more income to this region. The way that we balance those opportunities is to ensure that the Northwest Louisiana corridor is at the top of its game. So whether that is to incentivize the needs of the businesses that are interested in coming here, whether it be the petroleum businesses and or the other technological type businesses. If it's an incentive, that will definitely make our corridor stronger. Again, whatever it takes in order to make it happen and to make the balance happen, where one industry is not feeling slighted and can work in peace and harmony, then it is much necessary for us to do that. So we need to first and foremost sit down to understand what laws are prohibiting these I guess, hopeful owners to have clear titles. I do know that air property is a huge issue here in Louisiana, and I'm only saying that it's a huge issue because sometimes families will inherit land and they will inherit property, whether it be homes, whether it be several acres of land and what have you, and they don't always keep those properties up because they may not even stay in the state necessarily. But I also think that there is not just a responsibility on that family, but the responsibility is also on the state and how long we just let you keep paying your taxes and not doing something with the properties, because there are other investors and hopeful owners that deserve the opportunity, whether it be to flip the houses, in other words, where they bought this house maybe in hopes to turn it into a mixed use property or a rental property, or maybe even they want to take it and sell it back to someone who is interested in being a home buyer. So I do know that we need to look into those things, because when you drive around our city, when you fly into our city and you begin to see the blight and you begin to see where there is a lack somewhere. There is one specific issue that I would like to cover before my time is up today, and that is we must invest in our juvenile system. And I say that because currently we have children who are being housed at Angola, and we need to consider some type of other housing efforts for these specific individuals. I know that in one block, I believe the degrees was like 113 over the core of the summer, and we want to make sure that our juveniles are rehabilitated and that they can go into this workforce that we speak of. And so I do know for sure that they are receiving training, and they're receiving trade training at places like Angola. But also I feel that working conditions, even though they are incarcerated, definitely do matter.